Welcome to the latest edition of RPPV News, bringing you the news from across the Mornington Peninsula. I'm Catie Sharp, and our top stories for this edition are: a councillor at the centre of the IBAC inquiry has been granted an extended leave of absence by Catie Council. Flinders MP Greg Hunt faces questions about his own distribution bias after the resignation of Sports Minister Bridget McKenzie. Mornington Peninsula Shire introduces no charge for green waste policy to help reduce bushfire risk. A pensioner on a mobility scooter is attacked by a dog in Frankston, and the Peninsula Link's giant gnome has found a new local home. Now for the full stories. Besieged councillor Sam Aziz, who was embroiled in an IBAC probe into corruption allegations at Catie Council, has been granted an extended leave of absence after allegedly threatening Catie Council with legal action, according to the leader. The Herald Sun reported that Aziz took off overseas before the IBAC corruption investigation began, and the council remains in the dark about his whereabouts. Morn Pen News claims Flinders MP Greg Hunt has some explaining to do over grants handed out to the sporting groups ahead of the 2019 federal election. This week, Sports Minister Bridget McKenzie was forced to step down after complaints of distribution bias of grants towards marginal coalition electorates. In Mr Hunt's case, questions have been raised by the paper over the announcement, one day before the 20 May election was called, of $170,000 for Summers Yacht Club. Mr Hunt has defended the move, saying it would be extraordinary for an MP not to be supportive and making the case for local grant recipients. Following on the heels of the recent bushfires, the Mornington Peninsula Shire has introduced no charge for green waste policy. Mayor Sam Hearn says the idea is to reduce bushfire risk by encouraging the disposal of green waste. The Shire's biannual no charge green waste disposal event has been brought forward and extended by an extra day. It will take place at resource recovery centres on Friday the 14th February to Monday the 17th of February 2020. Green waste includes all types of garden waste and untreated timber, which must be delivered from residential vehicles and trailers only. No commercial vehicles or commercial green waste will be accepted. The event is open to Peninsula residents and ratepayers, and proof of residency will be required. Frankston and Mornington Police have executed a number of search warrants and arrested 5 people as part of Operation Night Eagle, an ongoing investigation into vehicle crime and drug-related offending. The police operation is one of 3 localised vehicle crime operations running in Melbourne's southeast. Police are also investigating after pensioner Gary Ward, riding a mobility scooter along Heather Hill Road in Frankston, was attacked by a mid-sized dog, likely a boxer. Mr Ward was incensed when the owner and dog took off after the attack, leaving the pensioner with a large laceration across the back of his hand. Frankston City Council will investigate and determine whether they will need to seize the dog and refer the case to court. If there is a guilty verdict, the boxer could be euthanised. After the break, the road toll death on the peninsula continues to climb.
The glass half full view of the world at the end of 2019 is still intact, but the bushfire tragedies, the coronavirus outbreak, and below average business confidence is challenging the outlook. An update on our view at the start of the new decade. The 20s kicked off with optimism that the global deceleration had turned the corner, with forecasts of global growth dipping to 3%, but edging higher to 3.5% through 2020. And the domestic outlook was consistent with the global recovery, thanks to a truce on the trade wars. Local data was also positive through January, with employment growth running at 2.1% year on year, comfortably ahead of population growth of 1.6%. The unemployment rate is down to 5.1% at year end. This good news, together with an uptick in the inflation rate and more gains for property markets, was enough to keep the RBA on hold for February. And their language is still stoically positive. But the Reserve Bank did admit that the impact of the bushfires and the coronavirus outbreak will weigh on domestic growth. Just how large this impact will be and how lasting is the unknown part of the equation. But a negative read for first quarter GDP can't be ruled out. Far less likely is 2 consecutive negative quarters, a recession. So, while the impact of the virus on China will be significant, and the combined impact with the fires will be very challenging for local tourism and other service exports, we do need to consider the recovery, not just the downturn. Similarly for housing, the downturn through 2018 was very unsettling, but the inevitable recovery shows the longer-term trend. The gains in Sydney and Melbourne are clear on this chart. But in January, every capital city was stronger and regional property rose 0.7% for the month. Stronger property prices are one consequence of last year's RBA rate cuts, which will help to offset slower domestic demand. But another impact from the cuts was a lower Aussie dollar, which did recover back above 70 cents at year-end, but is back around 67.5 cents now, having been hit by the prospect of China slowing as it tries to contain the virus. The lower Aussie dollar will continue to help, but as for its direction from here, we'll continue to respect 66.5 cents as a key support level, but the brief run above 70 cents over New Year's could be a portend for upside risks. So the 70 cent barrier is also a key trigger level to be monitored. The third beneficiary of these record low interest rates is stock markets, with our ASX 200 up over 18% last year, and further gains seen in January. So, having posted a record high of 7,100, you can see it's been a very impressive decade for stocks, even though ours have lagged the USA, especially the Nasdaq. The 20s are off to a roaring start, but increased volatility in equities and other markets is likely, until the impact of coronavirus is more clear, including locally through tourism and consumer confidence in particular. And that's the market update from Bendigo Bank.
Battery World now open in Mornington.
We know batteries. We know our 75D23Ls from our DIN 65LHs. And we know which is best for you. We have the range and a spark no one else can match, because we live and breathe batteries, those beautiful boxes and cylinders that power our lives and our passions. That's why we're the batteryologists. We're Battery World.
Battery World Shop 1, 43 Mornington Tyre Road, Mornington.
I know how fast grass fires can spread. You'll want to escape, but you shouldn't drive. The smoke is blinding. And you'll block roads for emergency vehicles. Just walk 2 streets back and check warnings on the Vic Emergency app.
Authorised by the Victorian Government.
Another fatality has been added to the Peninsula's 2020 road count after a motorbike rider died following a crash in Frankston. This brings the local total to 3 deaths in the first month of the new year. By comparison, 12 people died on Peninsula roads in 2019. MP News has reported that Rosebud Police allegedly clocked an 18-year-old P1 probationary driver at 163 km per hour on the Mornington Peninsula Freeway last week. The Cranbourne North man had only had his licence for 3 months when intercepted in the early hours of Saturday, 25th of January. His car was impounded. Due to concern about noise and nuisances, Frankston City Council has decided to regulate short-stay rental properties. The new local law will require owners of short-stay accommodation to register their properties with the council, which will allow them to ensure an appropriate standard of management. Owners will be charged an annual registration fee of $150. The penalty for failing to register will range from an infringement of $500 to conviction and court fine of up to $2,000. Owners will also be required to provide the council with details of a designated person who can be contacted any time of the day or night to respond to inquiries and complaints. A new inclusive play space is being built in Clyde specifically designed for children with autism spectrum disorder. The play space, known as Variety Livy's Place, was designed with the help of ASD consultants, behavioural therapists and Variety, the children's charity. It will include several unique zones which encourage learning and safe sensory experiences. While some zones will offer safe adventure, others will promote calmness or quiet spaces so children can take time out before returning to play. The playground will feature a wide range of activities, including a water play zone, tunnels, sound chimes and a flying fox. It will be ready for use by mid-2020. And Frankston's famous giant gnome has found a place to call home. Originally based at the Peninsula Link exit at Cranbourne Road, the 9-metre tall gnome will soon be installed at a site on the corner of Murdoch Highway and Hastings Road. Frankston Council has borrowed the sculpture from the McClellan Gallery and Sculpture Park for 4 years. The Love Flower sculpture now occupies the former gnome site. And now for the weather with Lisa.
Lisa Lenoble with the Mornington Peninsula 6-day forecast this Friday, the 7th of February. Let's take a look at the weather for this weekend and into next week. Today, we can expect a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 28. Humid, areas of smoke haze, winds southeasterly 15 to 20 k's becoming early in the morning, then becoming south to southeasterly 20 to 30 k's in the early afternoon. On Saturday, we'll see a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 28. Humid, partly cloudy, becoming very windy, so batten down the hatches. Winds east to southeasterly 35 to 50 kilometres an hour. On Sunday, a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 25. Humid, partly cloudy, with a shower or two in the afternoon and evening. Winds easterly 25 to 40 k's an hour. On Monday, a minimum of 16 and a maximum of 28. Possible shower, partly cloudy, chance of a shower most likely during the morning. Winds will be decreasing 15 to 20 k's an hour during the morning. On Tuesday, we'll see a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 25 degrees. Partly cloudy, light winds becoming southerly, 15 to 20 k's during the day. On Wednesday, we'll see a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 24. Cloudy, slight chance of a shower. I'm Lisa Lenoble. Thanks so much for watching on RPPV. See you next week.
Now to our host on the coast with the most, Muzz with the Surf Report.
Welcome to this week's Mornington Peninsula Surf Report. We're in a easterly weather program at the moment, so we've got about 5 or 6 days of easterly winds. Maybe going around to the southeast and back to the east. Looks like small swell. You'll get surf on the beach breaks. It's not going to be as good as, say, last Friday was, but there will be waves. So have a good week in the water. Water's warm. There's a couple of contests on. Malediction got their first contest of the year tomorrow at Gunner, I guess. So have a good week. I'll be in the surf. I'm going to try and get a surf in this afternoon. So good luck and see you next week.
And that's all from our team here at RPP News, serving in the community with stories that matter to you. Keep watching and tell your friends. Bringing you the news from coast to coast across the Mornington Peninsula, I'm Catie Sharp. See you for the next edition.